Welcome to Technology and Education. Today I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford, and today we're talking about a rather intriguing topic, the relevance of colleges and universities. And over the decades from, even after World War II all the way up through today, there's consistently a discussion about are colleges and universities, higher education, is it relevant, and why do we need the degree programs? And these people who are going out and obtaining these degrees, they've spent so much time and effort and money focusing upon obtaining these degrees. Can they actually obtain a job?
Wait a second.
Or is that a viable consideration?
I thought this was a new phenomenon.
What's a new phenomenon?
The idea of questioning whether colleges are relevant.
No.
Because you
It's
said
always been. The earliest I saw mentioned was right after World War II. Is it even viable? Why do people need degrees? They get these degrees and they're out digging ditches. And may I just add, there's nothing wrong with digging ditches. I earned my undergraduate and master's degrees and doctoral to a certain extent working full time. So
digging ditches?
Waiting tables, teaching as a classroom teacher for several years. And then I was lucky enough to obtain a graduate assistantship when I went on for my doctoral studies. I'm not quite sure how I was lucky enough to obtain that, but
well,
yay.
it's interesting, and so you have the cost factor, then you have the why do we really need this factor. I think one of the things that's important is that the college degrees, in essence, certifies that you have a certain level of knowledge.
And masochistic tendency.
And yes, okay. But you have a certain...
Well, let's focus.
Focus, and you have a certain amount of knowledge. So that anybody who is considering hiring you can immediately get an initial idea of your potential.
One would suggest a knowledge base. One would suggest the ability to see an issue through, to see a problem through, to see something that you desire to achieve through till the end.
Right. So this doesn't have to be a gut feeling on the part of an employer. And I'm just talking now in very practical terms, aside from the fact that it's good for everybody to have an education. The more education you can get, the better off you are as a person. But as far as an employer is concerned, you have an immediate level of certification information saying this person before me has at least one, a college degree, and two, has earned certain number of at a certain grade level. And then you have the other question, which is within the colleges themselves and the universities, there is a range of quality between the colleges and universities as judged by certain agencies. Let's just take that. I don't want to really debate that, but take that as a given, so that you know that a person who has graduated from, let's say, Massachusetts Institute of Technology has had to have a very high level of achievement in high school to get into that school.
And then maintain that level of rigor.
Exactly, and that we know that MIT has a certain level of rigor that it provides.
As do different programs.
And then, but then the other universities, you may have gotten an engineering degree from a small state university
that is well known as a strong program.
No, that is not known as a strong program.
Okay.
And because that fits my example, and that is that's a differentiator for an employer. Says, aha, I have somebody who's graduated from MIT. I have somebody who has graduated from University X, as it might be. Right off the bat, I suspect that the person from MIT has a better education, is better qualified than this other person. Now, I can
Those are assumptions to be made.
I can pursue it. I can say, well, I like this person from University X. Let me go ahead and give him my own tests. I will interview him, and maybe that person is as good as a person from MIT, because there's nothing that says you cannot study really hard and have some good professors at a small university that doesn't have as good a reputation as a
Okay, we are
tier
so
one.
off topic.
No, this is all the same. It's all the same topic.
Okay.
Because we're talking about the university being as a quality control agency, and it's quality control for potential employers.
The reputation of the different programs, the reputation of the different colleges,
Right.
the reputation of the different universities, absolutely viable.
Right.
But the
Now-
question is, what kind of career path do you want to follow? Is a degree necessary in order to be successful in life? I would suggest for the knowledge base and a well-rounded person that it would be a viable consideration, but in order to obtain a career in which you can pay the bills, it's not necessary. It is not. And I understand that that goes against anyone else's opinion in academia. But there are plenty of people who are professionals within their fields that do very well for themselves, and you do not need a degree. Electrician, plumber, someone working on an oil rig all the way up to company man.
Yeah, if
There is no reason to have that career path with a degree associated with it if you are successful in your career that you choose. But for a person, for a well-rounded personality and knowledge base, there's nothing wrong with enhancing yourself with a degree program.
what you say is true, but
Well, look at that. That's not usually stated as such when I have conversations like that.
but at the same time, if you're talking about a person who is more educated, has a more worldly view, either within the area in which that person has studied, or in general, we're talking about two different paths that are, or several different paths that are open to that person.
And a liberal
And
arts background and being more knowledgeable about the world in which we live instead of our small little community is important.
But I was going to
Now,
say,
is that degree associated?
what I was going to say is that there's a lot of expense attached to college degrees, especially these days, and that's where we get a lot of criticism, and that is one of the driving forces where people say, well, maybe a college degree isn't necessary. It's so expensive. What's the payoff? What is it? And we want to know, we're talking about dollars and cents. And really, yes, that's a justifiable argument.
It's a short-term consideration.
But
I paid my own way through school the whole way, so...
At that point, the parents need to make a few decisions, and those decisions basically is what's the cost effectiveness of this degree. And what I constantly hear from parents is, I'm sending my child to this school which is costing me a fortune, and the reason I'm sending my child to that school, it's a private school and it's out of state, is because my child really wants to go there.
I'm still working on, wow, the parents are paying? I never really...
I know.
I don't understand that.
Aside from your case,
there are
yes,
plenty of people in
the
my
parents,
situation who have been through
right,
and are currently in my
well,
situation.
this goes two ways. Either the parents are going to pay or the students is
Absolutely.
going to pay. But if you're not making, if you're not taking a look at the broader picture, if you're only concentrating on sending your students to a school because you feel that is the best possible school, and you don't look at anything else, and by anything else I mean take a look at your state universities in your own state, which are going to be a fraction of what the out-of-state tuition is going to cost at a private school, especially considering the living expenses and travel expenses, then you're not doing yourself any favors. And if you're listening to your children and saying, I don't want to offend my child because, and I'm going to take all my money out of my retirement in order to send my child to what I consider to be a top school. Frequently, it's not really a top school; it's just a private school.
Or plenty of people are working their way through, and how do they pay for their schooling?
Right. Well, then
it's difficult to deal with that.
So what you need to do is sit back and say, look, what can I afford? What state universities are there, or smaller private colleges that are good schools? That are available that I can send my child to, and just sit down and explain to the child, say, no, in the famous phrase, I am not made of money, and I cannot send you out of state and spend $60,000 to $70,000 a year for something that I could get for $30,000 to $35,000 a year.
Well, there is a middle class expectation as well that, well, my child graduated high school, they're going to college. Not necessarily. That's not necessarily the most appropriate move.
Well, they can work in Burger King. But, hey,
don't throw that under the bus.
I will throw that.
A good job is a good job, shows people reality before they go off to school and work.
Well, working at Burger King is not a good job.
I disagree. A job is a job is a job. It's a darn good experience. You have to work for the money. I'm working to pay for your tuition, or you're paying for your own.
It may be a good experience, but as a career plan, not a good job.
As a career plan, it's a choice.
No, so, but I'm talking about college education and how to get, if to make it a
Are
more,
colleges still viable?
right, and if you're talking about the viability of colleges in terms of the amount of money that they cost to attend, then you need to consider all colleges, everything that is available to you.
But also the career path.
Right. And for technology and education today, I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford. Bye.